Hey guys, this is Scholar General, 真的不好用吗? So in this video, we're talking about nunchucks and flails. And Shadiversity recently made a video where he talks about nunchucks. And in the past, he's also talked about flails. And, I'll link those videos here and in the description below so you can check those out because this is kind of a response to them. He brings up kind of three main criticisms of nunchucks, and some of these also pertain to flails. Number one, nunchucks can hit yourself in the knuckles. And if you've ever swung nunchucks around, this has happened to you. Basically, it's that pervasive. It's that common. Number two, Shad says that nunchucks, whenever you hit something with nunchucks or a flail, it will bounce off the target and it can go in an unpredictable direction, and you can't always have full control of your weapon because it's flexible and it can move around independently of how you're moving it. And number three, Shad says that a weapon like a flail or a nunchuck will not hit as hard, or it won't hit any harder than a stick of the same length. And I gotta come out here and be honest, I think he's right about all three of those things. But I still think that there's more that we could add to the conversation, and that's why I'm making this video. And that's why I actually made this flail just today. So it's a little bit rough, but, it'll get the job done. First, let's talk about why I made a flail and I did not make nunchucks. In China, the place that I mostly study, nunchucks are very, very modern thing. Now, back even in the 19th century, in the 1800s, they were using flails, and nunchucks didn't really exist. I'm not a historian of the nunchucks or nunchaku or whatever, so I believe that it's an Okinawan thing primarily. I could be wrong about that. But the main thing is that it's fairly modern. And for most of the use of things like the nunchucks, it was actually a flail, which has a key distinction of having one end being substantially longer than the swinging end. So that way when you swing it, you can't hit yourself, which makes it where it's much less likely to hit yourself. It could still hit yourself if you're swinging it around your head and stuff, going crazy, but it's just a lot less likely. In Chinese, flails are called 链耞棒, and they go back thousands of years, basically. The earliest references we have to them are in the 墨子, which is like a Bronze Age Zhou Dynasty text. So that's a long time ago. The key distinction between my flail here and ones that would be used in warfare in China, at least as far back as the Song Dynasty, is that they would be fitted with iron and they would have a chain. They wouldn't have this string which could easily be cut or damaged. So mine is, something you can do at home. I don't have a forge. I'm not going to make a chain. Let's get on to what I think Shad might be missing about the flail. Number one, I think that the flail, I'm not sure if it's less strong than a stick of the same length, but even if it is, I don't think that's the point of a flail, is to be stronger than a stick. I actually think we need to look at agricultural flails, because these are primarily, these weapons come from an agricultural origin. Basically, you have some grain, and you need to beat the grain to make the wheat fall off of the stalk and, all that stuff. I'm not a farmer, so I could be a little off on some of these details, but the main thing is you hit it and you make the grain fall out of the plant. Why were these things developed? Because you could hit just as hard with a stick, right? The main point is that I can swing this and I'm expending very little energy and I'm getting a very consistent, repeatable strike out of it. It's extremely energy efficient. It would take a lot more time and effort to beat the stick like this when I can just do this with the flail, right? And I think that implies something about the flail's use. For one, if I'm using a flail, I'm going to keep it moving a little bit. And this is using some energy in a fight, but the thing is, when are you going to approach me? I'm always ready to hit you no matter when you're coming in, because it's pretty quick. And I can go even faster if I wanted to, but the main thing is, if you're out of range, there's no good time to come into range because I can hit you no matter what. And it might not, I might not have total control over my weapon, but I have enough and it's threatening enough that, it will keep people at bay. So that energy efficiency, I think, is a very important thing to think about with regards to the flail. Another thing is that in textual sources from the Song Dynasty and the Ming Dynasty, we frequently see these things being described as weapons for horsemen. Now, why might someone use this on a horse as opposed to using just a straight stick with a mace or something like that? I think one key element of this is that with the weapon like this, it's less likely to be knocked out of your hand when you're striking. If I just hit with the stick, let's say I hit at a bad angle and the stick is pushing off this direction and it's prying against my fingers trying to get out of my grip. If I have a stick and I do that, it can easily come loose, especially if I'm riding around on a horse. That's a lot of energy and momentum going into that strike. But if I hit with the end of a flail, I will still get a lot of that punch from the momentum of the horse moving, but I will not incur the risk of having this pried out of my hand. So I can hit him with this, hard implement, maybe a ball. Sometimes it is a ball. I can hit him with this metal thing flying at the speed of a horse. Not flying, but you know what I mean. And whenever it hits, instead of taking damage for my hand or, straining my wrist, it just bounces right off and it does a lot of damage to them. So to sum things up, I basically think that the flail is interesting because it's energy efficient if you're doing this simple repeated swing. It might not be the strongest swing, but it's very energy efficient to continually swing. And also, whenever you strike things, as long as your flail is long enough to keep your hand from getting hit by it, then you're not incurring shock and the potential to lose your grip whenever you're striking things. It just doesn't happen. And that's pretty much my thoughts on why I think the flail could be a useful weapon, particularly from horseback. And this is verified because we have these Song Dynasty accounts which are describing nomadic people from the steppe using this weapon on horseback. I don't think it's the most important weapon or the main weapon, but it is important and I think it has a role. Now, those are just my thoughts. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts in the comments. Please subscribe and don't forget to stay sharp.